Thank you very much, Spencer. I appreciate that. And joining me now is Executive Vice Chair and President of Xpeng, that's ticker XPEV, Brian Gu. Brian, are you out there? There he is.
Yes. Hi,
How are
Brent.
you
How
doing
are you?
today? I hope you're having a good holiday week.
Thank you. Thank you. Very pleasure to be here.
We are very glad to have you today. So, a couple of the goals of Benzinga's EVCon, we want to give investors out there a flash of what the electric vehicle market is right now, and also learn a little bit more about companies that we have on. So let's get it kicked off, Brian. Why don't you tell us what you think the current state of the electric vehicle market is? What inning are we in?
Well, I would say, first of all, the EV market we're competing is mostly in China, although we start exporting in Europe. But if you look at China, I think we are seeing tremendous growth of EV penetration in the last 12 to 18 months. I think, the penetration rate for EV in China has increased from around 5% or 4%, I would say, early last year to over double digit, over 10% right now. So it's been a tremendous growth, and we've seen that growth accelerating actually. So that's very exciting. But still, I think in terms of the innings that you're talking about, I would say we're still in probably the first inning of this game, because if you look at the overall, so the EV numbers, whether it's the penetration rate I just talked about, as well as the cumulative driver or vehicles on the road, it's still very early. So I think there's a lot more growth to come for this market.
Yeah, I think that our investors out there in the audience love to hear that we're still in, like you said, the first inning. We're looking for early opportunities here. Let's talk about how Xpeng fits in to the current state of the electric vehicle market.
Well, I think first of all, Xpeng is a relatively young company. We started around 7 years ago, but we have always focused on producing smart electric vehicles catered to what we call the mid to high end market. So it's quite different from some of the other competitors or companies on the market. First of all, we really focus on smart capabilities. We think the capabilities bringing AI, autonomous driving capabilities to a vehicle will be the long-term differentiator rather than just the electrification of a vehicle. So I think that's something we start out many years ago as the foundation of our product. Secondly is that focusing on the segment, what we call the mid to high-end market, really trying to bring the highest quality, smartest capability product to that market is also quite different. Most of the companies either focus on the luxury segment, it's expensive pricing levels. For example, some of the competitors focus in China over 350,000 RMB in pricing. Our products focus between 150,000 RMB to around 400,000 RMB. So that will be the largest segment of EV in China or auto in China. So I think that gave us a lot more runway compared to a lot of other players. And the third thing is that in our vehicles, we really want to make sure that we can provide the best in class autonomous driving capabilities, so allow the drivers to enjoy, even though it's the mid to high end segment. So the combination of that really makes our product stand out in the Chinese market.
Sure, and I definitely want to talk a little bit more about the smart and the autonomous stuff. But let's jump back here for a second. We have a huge hopefully once in a lifetime item over the last couple of years with the COVID-19 pandemic happening and affecting chips and supply chain, etc. I mean, how do you think recent developments related to COVID-19 fit into the current state of the electric vehicle market, whether it's, like I said, chip shortages or, supply chain concerns?
Well, I think the pandemic, has a multiple level of impact to this sector. First of all, I think EV actually has grown quite substantially during the pandemic, period since the early last year. Some of the growth actually came through that period is quite astonishing. That's obviously one part because in China there is a significant consumer pickup for smart EV product. But at the same time, I think the governments around the world has recognized environmentally friendly clean energy vehicles is a trend to back. So you start to see also significant government support all over the world, including China. But the other thing I think the pandemic is causing, obviously, is some of the supply chain difficulties and shortages you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The chip shortage is not just limited to EV, though. I mean, it is actually very broad supply chain issue that we have been facing. It's impacting all the players in the auto sort of sector, especially the larger ones, I would say, because the chips that shortage faced by some of the larger OEMs who are producing hundreds of thousands of vehicles every month will feel the biggest crunch because they need to figure out how to source them. But obviously, every player is impacted, and we are also involved in that supply chain. But I think for EV players like Xpeng, we are right now at a scale probably not as big, so give us the ability to address the issue with more flexibility or nimbleness. Secondly, is that we are also seeing some of the shortage impacting some of the basic chips, whereas we actually use a lot of the smart chips or advanced chips that's less impacted by the shortage. So I think in a way that we have been coping it probably relatively better than some other players, especially the larger OEMs. But still, I think it is something that we are very, very focused on to make sure that we address and resolve, because it does constraining the ability to deliver our products and also meet the demand that we have seen in China.
Sure. And I think this is a theme that we've seen across industries. Do you have any timeline for when you think you won't be dealing with something like a chip shortage?
Well, I think the chip shortage will probably last till mid next year, if you want me to make a prediction. But obviously, it's evolving. It's not like suddenly it will stop. It's just like the capacity will come online, the logistics will get better. Hopefully, pandemic impact to certain regions in the supply chain is not as severe as we've seen the last few months. So things will improve. But the fact is, I think a lot of the plants are ramping up the capacity and also manufacturing. So it will slowly, I would see, resolve the problem.
Sure. What trends in the electric vehicle market are you and your team currently really excited about? Kind of shifting gears here for a sec.
Yeah, I think a few trends I think really excites us. First of all, the trend is as I mentioned, if you go to auto show in China or globally, see vehicles now talking about their, how smart they are and how they are designed to meet some of the, driving, sort of capabilities that was autonomous features, as well as some of the cabin, sort of smart cabin sort of features. I think the smartification becoming more important trend in the last 12 months really excites us, because that's obviously, as I talked about, that's our original thesis, is that we think the products are get smarter and smarter. And we're seeing that around the world, but in China specifically, I think people are talking about, smart cars. So I think that's a trend that we identify, and we think it will really drive our growth. The second trend I think we're excited about is that we're bringing, people are start to bringing this, smart EVs to a segment that traditionally has been, what we call the mass market. In the past, as I mentioned, people buying similar feature vehicles have to pay, over 350,000 or 400,000 RMB, which is equivalent to 50 to 70,000 US dollars per vehicle. But now we're seeing product, like our own new product, a P5, is actually going to be in the 30,000 US dollar category. And that's very exciting. In that price category, we can see actually the most advanced features for autonomous driving and smart cabin. That will really excite the market.
Sure. Okay, great. I'm just jotting down a couple notes here. I love what you're saying, Brian. The smartification, and again, I think we'll get into it in a sec here. But I mean, is the smartification, is that, are you talking about LiDAR? Are you talking about, like give us a couple of hints here at some of the specific sort of technologies that are really getting you excited about the, quote, smartification. I like how you put that.
Yeah, I think to define how smart a vehicle is, I think there's a few aspects you need to focus on. First of all, is obviously the autonomous driving capabilities. Our products, starting with our P7 that we launched last year, is already demonstrating a high degree of autonomous driving. Or what I call autonomous driving, obviously, still is driver assist, because we still require a driver in the driver's seat ready to resume control. But even with that configuration, we can actually design vehicles that can go from point A to point B on highway, mostly using a vehicle driving itself. And that capability is something that already in our vehicles. In the third product that we'll be launching, the P5, we actually will extend that point-to-point, what we call NGP, navigation guided pilot capability, to city roads, not just the highway roads. So it expands the usage of the autonomous driving capabilities. It will allow the vehicle to identify, traffic signs, traffic lights, make turns in busy streets, and those are really advanced features. So that's one, is autonomous driving, or it's a high degree of autonomous driving assist. Second feature, I think, is what we call the smart cabin capability. So if you go into an Xpeng car right now, you can basically use voice to command everything. It allows you to really use the features with your voice command, and it actually talks to you. It learns your behaviors, learn your preferences. That's something I think will make the cabin smart. I think that's called a smart cabin. And also, by combining the cabin hardware design as well as the software operating system, as well as the content that we provide in the vehicle, we actually can create a lot of the scenarios that we can use specifically. For example, in P5, we designed cinema mode. You can watch movie with projectors, with the screen. We can launch the one button, allow you to turn into a sleeping mode. I think those are things that are actually really cool and make the car smarter to use. And then the third thing I think is, and obviously you probably used to for smart EVs, the over-the-air upgradability, that you can upgrade the whole car as you use. That's only happens in smart vehicles. Traditional vehicles, it only gets older when you actually drive a car. But in a smart EV, because you have the ability to OTA, you actually can make the car smarter as you use it, and the feature will be newer and updated as it grows through the over-the-air update program. So those are things I think you look for a smart electric vehicle.
Gotcha. And some of our audience might have seen that you launched the P5. I think it was, it was just last week, I think. Congrats on the launch.
Just last week, that's right.
Yeah, congrats on the launch. So
Thank you.
You just hinted at, a couple of your other models, but I'm kind of wondering, so you have three models that are on the road. You have the P5, the P7, and then the G3. Are each of those models occupying, a certain segment of the market? Or to, what you were just saying a minute ago about our vehicles being smarter, I mean, are one of these vehicles smarter than the other?
Yeah, well, I think for Xpeng, each time we launch a product, we want to target the largest addressable market for auto. So we have three products, each addressing significant opportunities. The first product is called G3. It's a compact SUV. If you think about, it's more like a crossover SUV product. It's actually priced around 150,000 to 180,000 RMB. So that's actually addressing the mass market segment. It's actually, upon launch, it became one of the best-selling battery electric SUV in that compact segment. It's top seller actually. And then the second product we launched is the P7. It is actually a premium product, premium price. It's priced between 230,000 RMB to up to almost 400,000 RMB. So that's the sports sedan product. It's beautifully designed. It's at that time launch of last year, it was actually considered to be the smartest vehicle on the road in China, because it has the autonomous driving capabilities I mentioned, as well as all these features inside the cabin. We're launching our third product called P5, which is a smaller sedan, targeting a price segment between 160 to 230,000 RMB. So you can see that it really, sort of capture, the middle segment of our product range, and that product actually equips with what we consider the most advanced sort of smart capabilities, because it will have LiDAR featured in its
Sure.
sensor set. And
Yep.
obviously, as you know, LiDAR has not been used in volume production cars yet. So this will be the world's first volume produced vehicles to
Excellent.
launch with LiDAR capability. And as a result, its autonomous driving and assist sort of capability will be significantly better, including some of the city, NGP features I just mentioned earlier.
Sure, sure. So what do you think the most exciting thing about the P5 is? It the LiDAR?
Well, I would say, obviously it's smart. It will be one of the most advanced technologically product for us. But what's most exciting is that it's bringing that smart package to a price range around 200,000 RMB. That's never done before in China or even globally. Think about
Sure.
it. Tesla has thought about, thinking about introducing a vehicle at a 25,000 US dollar level, but we already are launching one, delivering one close to that range with one of the most advanced sort of autonomous driving capabilities in China. So we're very excited to have that product in that segment to bring real capability of smart features to that segment.
Absolutely. So do you have any expectations for performance for the new model? Can you talk about, the expected impact on what I'm sure the audience is going to view as an important financial metric, like, gross margins?
Well, I think a couple areas that we always focus on as a company is growth and margin, right? So first of all, I think a product like P5, the price segment it competes in is squarely competes with the existing incumbent ICE sedans like Toyota Camry, Honda Accord, or Volkswagen, similar sedans in that price range. So it's one of the largest segments, as you can imagine, in China or in the world for family sedans. So I think it will, given its differentiated, smart, capability, and it's also pure battery electric, vehicle, I think it will have a significant contribution to our volume growth in this coming quarter, as well as next year and year after. So I think it will be a significant seller. We actually saw a very exciting upstart to our launch since last week's official launch. If you compare the P5 to the P7 a year ago, the similar launch, you can see it's multiple. The order number is multiple of the P7 at the same period last year. So that's very exciting. In terms of the margin, I think obviously the margin is significantly impacted by the volume that we put, because obviously efficiency we can achieve in terms of scale, manufacturing, supply chain, and also T5 is based on the similar platform of G3, which is the compact SUV product that we had earlier. If you compare those two products, P5 has much better margin than G3, so it will have margin improvement over the G3 product. But obviously, it's priced in the more of the middle segment. So I think compared to P7, there's still a little bit of a margin difference. But I think as our volume catches up, I think there's a significant growth opportunity in that as well.
Gotcha. Let's talk about models, Xpeng models moving forward. Do you have any models currently planned for the next year, the next couple of years?
Yeah, so we actually have been introducing one brand new model per year for the last 3 years, and we have another model that are ready to launch by second half of next year. It will be a premium SUV, so it's a larger SUV based on the P7 sort of a platform. It will be obviously higher pricing for, than the current products. So it will make it will really fulfill that price range sort of as we define 150,000 to 400,000 sort of segment. So we have 4 products to competing. And going forward, I think we're going to accelerate our product launch schedule because we have obviously more resources since our IPO, as well as I think we are more excited about the growth in China. So we'll be launching more than one product per year starting in 2023. So you'll see 2 to 3 products launching in the year after. So I think we'll see a significant more fulsome lineup portfolio. And also starting in 2023, 24, the product we launch will also have international product appeal and designs. As you probably know, we started shipping some product to Europe this year, and we are expanding our presence in international market like Europe and other countries in the next 2 years. And by 2023 and 24, I think global market will be a key component of our strategy in addition to the China opportunity.
Love what you're saying, Brian. Let's switch it up here. Something that I was reading about kind of recently. You guys have some exposure to robotics, is that right? I heard that you launched a robotic unicorn. Is that right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I would say that first of all, for Xpeng, we want to be the leader and explorer of future transportation. So we actually are involved in a number of ventures that target different transportation modes that could also leverage the platform that we have created at Xpeng Inc. We have actually a number of associate companies that we have been incubating. For example, we have actually a flying car company that we incubated that's targeting the low altitude flying, but
Wow.
flying car opportunity. And also the robotic company you mentioned is also part of the ecosystem. You can imagine, first of all, those are associate companies that we invest in as a company. We have a minority share, but also it has synergies with our auto EV platform because
Absolutely.
those are all electric devices. Either the flying device is electric or the robotics is electric. It uses our autonomous driving designs, our sensoring capabilities. It does have the motor capability, the battery. So you can see there's a lot of synergies. But it's targeting different areas and with different teams. Specifically the robotic company that you mentioned is actually the first product we want to introduce is what we call the robotic horse. We want to design a large sort of a four-legged sort of horse-like sort of robot
Wow.
that can be a companion and helper to a family. Could be could play with the kids can ride on it. It can actually carry weights. It can actually
That's awesome.
follow you to grocery shop or delivery taking.
Wow.
So we're designed to actually make this as not just a fun product but also useful product. So those are areas that we actually have been spending some time with our associate companies.
Really cool stuff, Brian. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get to questions here from the audience, but I just wanted to ask a final question here. Where is Xpeng going moving forward? What does the company look like in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years?
Well, obviously, we want to be the leader in the EV opportunity globally, but obviously it takes time. So in 2 years, we want to be a leader in China, bring out the best products targeting the biggest market opportunity in China EV market with our focus and research on smart capabilities. In 5 years, we want to be a global player. We want to have a product that really can bring our capability to the global audience. In 10 years, I think Xpeng has really the aspiration to be a leader in all transportation related technologies that we're obviously researching in. So it'll be we will bring a vast ecosystem of smart transportation technology to the global market. So that's our aspiration.
Really good stuff, Brian. Exciting stuff. Brian Gu, he is Vice Chairman and President of Xpeng. It's ticker XPEV. Really appreciate you joining us here today, Brian.
Thank you, Brent.